guide, a karma guide, and I support people through how you can integrate the change that really brings alignment and fulfillment to your soul's highest expression in this lifetime. And that might be through your physical body, your emotional, your mental, maybe even your career, and if you have a business that you are supporting the world through. In this blog, we are going to be exploring the importance of the evolution of business at this time. We see many businesses talking about conscious business. We see a lot happening in the commercial world of people fighting to be B Corps, to be more sustainable, to show that they have got a fully whole system considered way of operating that encourages holistic and sustainable practices. And I really wanted to touch on this, especially for my creative and spiritual business owners, and where it is that you might be able to tap into the audience that is here for you, whether that is a corporate client or whether or not you work with individuals. So one of the things that we want to remember is that in our evolutionary process, we begin in a place of fear, of lack, of basic needs being met. And that's been our place as a species for many centuries. We are in a time where there is so much abundance in many countries in the world, and obviously there are some places where this is not the case. But overall, there's actually a great abundance. We just, as humans, are still learning how it is that we distribute wealth in a more balanced way. And this is where this talk comes in. So as we move from a place of advertising and marketing that touches on people's fears and, kind of like root level shadow need, that like digging in stuff that none of us really like when you're a light worker, when you're a real creative, digging into all that pain and suffering doesn't really resonate as somewhere where you actually really want to sell from. And that makes sense because we're trying to shift the consciousness and elevate it to a higher space. So that means that in previous videos, I've touched on this being an inspirational marketer, moving people from a place of inspiration rather than of fear and need. So what's the next part beyond inspiration? Well, it's aspirational. So how is it we can move people into the aspirational way of living? And this is where I'd like to touch on that holistic, sustainable way of being, which is happening to us on a collective level. How is it that we can be more collectively holistic and sustainable rather than moving from this place of greed and individualistic desire that creates a lot of suffering and destruction on this planet? And what is it that a spiritual business can do that can start to shift that? Well, it's really important to remember that as we move into a more aspirational way of being, this is where spiritual teaching comes in. This is where greater consciousness, looking beyond the individual as a solo, on its own, independent, functioning being, and looking at how it is that we have interdependencies and interrelationships that need to work together. And this is why, as a spiritual business owner, you might have really a great place for a lot of clients, because we're in a place where we are teaching people about our interconnectedness, our interrelatedness, and how it is that we can manage healthy boundaries, how it is that we can meet our own needs and other people's needs without this need for perceived sacrifice and suffering. And so you are going to have a lot of work ahead of you as a spiritual business owner in supporting people in how it is that they can start to understand things like boundaries, energy exchange, where it is that they can find fulfillment, finding alignment and purposefulness, seeing how it is that we can move from prosperity and surrender rather than these places of control and conformity, how it is that diversity and individual uniqueness is going to support creativity. And that through this, there's this energy flow that you are here to teach people through experiential form and maybe mental thinking, and maybe through rebalancing their nervous system, helping them learn to calm down so they're not in so much fear and that they can start to receive and see these more holistic ways of being. So depending on what it is in your business and how it is that you're helping either an individual or a business to see that greater community, to see that flow of energy that we have in our spiritual work, and how it is that that can bring about prosperity for all, you may want to include in your communications language around community, flow of energy and efficient energy transfer, the ability to always be evolving and improving on conscious awareness and elevation and integrity, working with alignment and centeredness to maintain balance as things become very unstable, how it is that we can do better visioning work and elevate frequency and vibration for all. And maybe that language is a little bit like out there in the spiritual world when we say frequency and vibration, but you want to be looking at that as an experiential and evidence-based outcome. So Nid, this is fine. It all sounds very like woo-woo and out there, and what's your practical business action? I was having a conversation with some friends around the shifts of AI and technology and the perceived fears that it is going to remove so much work, so much security for people as ways of building income. And I'd like to encourage those of you in spiritual businesses to be there at the forefront of positive change and conscious evolution. As we have found more ways of mechanically supporting our physical bodies and physical existence, what we do is actually free up the percentage of our energy and therefore our mental capacity of our brain to expand out our consciousness for greater consciousness evolution. And perhaps for many people on this planet, that is not going to be necessarily through spiritual practices and getting into all that energetics. It's going to actually be through creativity, through play, through things that are fun and light, because that is actually the energy that really shifts and creates this energetic opening and elevation of consciousness. And so it may be that for you, you want to encourage people to see how it is that rather than the doomsday of where technology may be taking us, of seeing how roles may need to be restructured and businesses will be reorganized, what it is that these things are going to enhance and free people up to experience, see, and think differently. What capacities could it give to us as a collective to work and operate in a different way and at a different level? And this will include psychic senses. So I really do encourage those subtle senses to be included in some of your business strategies, and that's the way you want to be building your businesses. So make sure that your services have this sense of aspiration, that you're including the kind of language that's going to move your clients into that holistic integrity of sustainable ways of thinking about community and collective thinking, and that real positive enforcement of the possibilities that we could be open to as a collective, as a way forward of being a species that is beyond this limited fear-based work hard, being stuck in this limited structure of doing and of meeting job task. What happens if you were just free to play? Not to worry about money, not to worry about these responsibilities, but to interact and exchange in a whole new way, and allowing this energy to move through your business and carry you into the future of working with your clients. So although it may sound a little airy-fairy, in there was a transmission to support your business to create that aspiration for some of your clients into that next level, and to remove some of these old ways of being, so that you can support your clients in stepping up into our sustainable and evolved way of being real spiritual expressions in all of our actions, in all of our business, and in all of our ways of interacting with one another. Have a wonderful month, and if you'd like to connect with me about supporting the energy of your business so that you can be that aspirational business holder, maybe you want to review your products and services so they really can be that aspirational product and language that is suited to your business, then get in touch with me for a soul-aligned business reading and see whether or not this is the path for your business and for your service. Link is below, and have a wonderful month.